A series of bad events is enough to break any man. A day with enough suffering can turn the strongest man into a wino. So we need protocols for the darkest of times, systems that you can fall back on when you're feeling your worst to pull you through those times. Now there's plenty of those systems out there. JBP, Jocko, the existentialists, Eastern theologies, the Stoics. There's plenty of systems out there, and it's worth exploring those to put some of those systems into your backup for when life becomes dark. We have incredibly powerful mediums now. These video sharing platforms make many things that probably our previous generations wouldn't have had access to. So that makes transversing harder times, dark times, times that are potentially ahead of us, it's going to make that a bit more manageable. For me, I like Akira the Don. That was the guy that sung and wrote the track at the start of this video. No matter what mood I'm in, if it's a good mood, it's a bad mood, it's a particularly dark time, I always feel there's an Akira the Don track that suits my mood. That's just me. For different people, there's going to be many different videos that you might want to go to on a website, to try and pull you out of that. If you've got like a real negative feeling, negative emotion, there's going to be something that you just have it in your in your save list, your watch later list, that's really going to like pull you out of those dark moods. Books also are incredibly invaluable. Goggins Can't Hurt Me, I think it's an absolute masterpiece. This book will have helped thousands, tens of thousands of people, way more than nearly any psychologist, any psychiatrist will be able to help people over the course of their career. Goggins has helped far more people than that. The philosophy of Epicurus. Books are absolutely great. For the price of like one counselling session, bear in mind counselling in the UK starts around £40, £120, £200 an hour. It's a lot of money, and that's going to be great if you can afford it and if you specifically need it. But books in many ways can kind of replicate a lot of the things that you would be getting from a counselling session for a fraction of the price. You can fill up a bookshelf of books for the price of one or two counselling sessions. Not to take away from counselling, but it's just to show like the value that you can have just from reading alone. I think it's important to also understand, as we kind of live in a time where there's a lot of turmoil, there's a lot of change. We're going from a particularly comfortable life, like a 30-year period, over the last 3 decades, last 4 decades, where things have been becoming increasingly stable, increasingly safe, and now turn into a time where that's changing. Things are becoming increasingly unstable, increasingly unsafe. Things are fracturing. As we make this shift, it's important to understand over the longer time frame that generations before us have faced just as hard times, if not harder. Everybody in your lineage has survived with great suffering. Anybody that's people that lived any time more than 80, 100 years ago, they would have lived through extreme suffering, and that's in your genes. That makes up who you are at a DNA level, at a cellular level. You are from that lineage of people that survived, so be proud of that. There's no way that you would be here today if it had not been for people transversing hard times, hard suffering, and that's in you. That's in you at a just a core cellular level. That's who you are. That's what makes you up. So be proud of that, and just bear in mind you have the ability to survive hard times. One of the things I'm trying to create for myself, and it's not fully set up, but it's getting there. It's part of my bookshelf, but I'm trying to really like make it a proper area. But I think every man needs his own area. I mean, traditionally, especially for especially more well-off people, a male would have had a study, right? A place he could go to formulate his thoughts, to do his work, just to sit and read and reflect. That's not so easy these days, especially if you don't have a spare room to have a study. But I think everybody needs just an area to be theirs. Whether for me at the moment it's a bookshelf, but I do want to change this. I'll probably share it with you once it's all finalized. But at the moment I've just got an area with my books, especially the books that I can go back to time. Not books I will just read once and then they'll go on the shelf, but my core collection of probably like 10 books that I will go back to and reflect on and just read 1 or 2 pages. Have those books, have things that mean a lot to you. This can even be in a drawer. It doesn't need to be like, you know, a large area. It doesn't have to be a big bookshelf or, you know, room. You can even just have a drawer that you pull out and there's, you know, Marcus Aurelius meditations and some pictures of times that mean a lot to you, and, you know, letters or trinkets from people that mean a lot to you, and those, just that kind of morale, just even a drawer you can pull open, and as soon as you see those things in there, you feel that real warmth. I think that's really important, and that's something that I'm actually trying to, you know, curate at the moment for myself. I think that's really, really important. Something to ground you, something that has meaning, because if you're feeling down, if you're feeling dark, you need to make things easy for yourself. You need just something you can pull open, a room you can go in and just close the door, pull open that drawer. It can even be a cupboard where you just have like a few posters and, you know, pictures and things like that on just inside. You just go and stand there and you have your books there. I think every man needs that, men and women, but primarily it's going to be men, I guess, watching this video. So that's why we address it like that. It's also building like whys to survive. You know, they say, you know, a man who has a why can bear almost any how. That's basically, you know, paraphrasing what Nietzsche said, that if you have a why, you can almost survive anything. But bear in mind, Nietzsche also went mad himself. So although he spoke about these whys, he didn't really have that fully integrated. And, you know, whereas Jung did. Jung had a wife, children, practicing psychiatrist. He had those whys in life to kind of pull himself out when he'd been doing, you know, experiments on himself, delving into the shadows. He had those things to pull himself out, whereas Nietzsche didn't. So bear that in mind. More than just saying you have a why, you need to integrate that. Another thing, I think the more times you are stressed, you see dark times and you go through it, you become work hardened. There's a certain level of anti-fragility to that the more times you go through something. So have these protocols in place. You know, victory favors the prepared. Have these protocols in place, put yourself together in an area, have some of these systems as backups for these dark times that are potentially ahead. I think that's really important. So good luck, Godspeed, and I'll see you in the next video.